Okay, we'll call to order the Board of Education regular meeting for Wednesday, November 20th at 7:03. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Brady? Mr. Cavanero? Ms. Koenig? Mr. Kiska?
Here.
Mr. Marola?
Here.
Mr. Nargi?
Here.
Mr. Rivera?
Here.
Mr. Tebow?
Here.
Mr. Trout?
Here.
Ms. Batchelder? Here. Mr. Campolita?
Here.
Mrs. Clacco? Here. Mayor Jordan? Jalissa Martinez? Here.
Okay. School community session. The board invites members of the community to speak on topics to be addressed in the agenda or on other topics of interest. Individuals wishing to make comments are requested to fill out the speaker's sign-up sheet, which is located on the front table, including your name and your address. You must also state your name and address at the beginning of your comment. The board will not allow comments regarding specific staff members or personal grievances. Courtesy is expected in this limited public forum. Participating time will be limited to 3 minutes per person and 10 minutes overall to guarantee an efficient operation of the entire meeting. Darlene Battle.
No, excuse me.
I did it right. I'm okay. Hi, Darlene.
Hi, how are you?
Ready.
Yes, I'm Darlene Battle, parent, newly elected or re-elected by the Board of Public Safety Commissioner, also newly elected PTO president of the high school. I'm just here to introduce myself tonight to all of you that don't know me, and I want to extend the work that was started by our predecessor, or done over several years by my predecessor, Kathy Peterson. And just wanted to say hello.
All right. Okay. Approval of the agenda. We actually have to make a couple of modifications. I need to add an L under informational sharing for turf committee representative. And I need to make an I under action items for the approval of the turf committee representative. So moved. Second by Tina. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Excellent. Okay, informational sharing and discussion items. Student representative reports. We have, how do you say your first name? Julissa Martinez. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Julissa Martinez. I am a class representative of the seniors for Torrington High School. And here are some events that are going on. Secondary school night at Torrington Middle School was a huge success. Students from THS music program, JROTC program, student council, various clubs, and sports teams were on hand to answer questions about the high school and to encourage 8th graders to consider THS next year. The Leo Club put on another successful haunted house hallways event with over 100 children stopping by for some safe trick-or-treating for the Halloween season. In addition to the service provided, the club was able to collect and distribute items for the local food banks. The Guitar Club is working on their second Music in Common event. The concert, which will be in January, calls awareness to community concerns and provides a platform for discussion and action. Parent-teacher conference were held last week, and for the first time, the process utilized an online registration component. There was a record turnout of parents attending. And on the second night, a group of community organizations were here to offer service to parents. The boys soccer team, girls swim team, and girls volleyball team all performed well in the NBL championships, each placed second in their league. With the holiday season approaching, the THS clubs have organized a number of service projects. The American Study class is collecting change for the Change for Change campaign. Proceeds will go to victims of the typhoon in Philippines. And a multi-club for effort started by freshman Gabriela Balateros. The school is raising money as a community to purchase a shelter box, also for victims of the typhoon. The current goal is one box, which costs $1,000. The campaign started today and a total of $225 has been raised so far. The Forbes School and the middle school are joining in. And so the hope is that the Torrington Public Schools community might be able to purchase 2 shelter boxes. The National Honor Society is wrapping up the annual food drive this Friday and have currently collected over 400 items. And the THS Club Belongs for Jenny has just started their toy drive, which last year collected over 1,400 goodies for the needy families. That is all. Yeah.
If anyone wants to contribute to the Philippines, would it be Gabby?
Yeah, her and Mrs. Sullivan. Mrs. Sullivan and Sullivan. Thank you.
Okay, superintendent's report.
I was asked last time about the status of the security grant, and Torrington requested $18,017, and we were state funded $13,386,000. And we will determine that the money will be used for a way of dealing with student attendance, so we know who's in the building at all time in their classes, and it will be a much better way to monitor the students. And we're also doing some work on repairing locks on some doors at Torrington Middle School, and that's about it. The second component was the results of our birth through 8 plan, a collaboration with Torrington Early Childhood Collaborative, and the goal of TEC and Torrington Public Schools is to make sure that all children from birth through age 8 are healthy and successful learners. And we were going to measure the indicator as how successful we were, is that how many students were at or above goal in reading on the 3rd grade level on the Connecticut Mastery Test. What happened with this collaborative, what was done was that we had over 60 Torrington Early Childhood Collaborative members representing 20 agencies who worked together to achieve this goal. There were more than 1,200 volunteer hours donated, dealing with meetings, kindergarten readiness fair, free back-to-school clothing event, the work through the district-wide community literacy center, and also the Family Resource Center. There was over $3,000 in in-kind support. From this, a community resource guide for families and children was created. The Birth Through Graduation Initiative was implemented, where parents and children come together for play groups, for learning about how to develop early literacy skills with your children, how to read with your children. There's materials that they can borrow so they have at their hands multiple resources. And 90% of the families also participated in our kindergarten fair last year and truly understood what they had to do with registering their children, participating in kindergarten screening, and this year we've even extended it. We have over 12 events where parents can come and understand what kindergarten will be like prior to the fair, and what they can expect next year with their children entering kindergarten. And we also received $500,000 in grant funds to implement the multiple strategies strategies. The results were that in 2007-8, 43% of children in third grade were reading at goal, as compared to 52% of the state. And as of 12-13, 60% of third graders were reading at goal, and only 57% of the state. So those were the results.
Pretty good.
We're moving in the right direction.
Okay, grant update.
Well, you received in an email over the weekend that Torrington Public Schools was the recipient of a $748,843 technology grant to continue the improvement of the work that we've already done in developing a much stronger infrastructure for the district. We were the third highest recipient behind New Haven and Bridgeport, and that just, it's a very nice thing to receive.
How much did we ask for?
900,000,
We got close.
but we'll take it.
Yeah.
There were 126 districts that received funding from $27,000 on up. And when they called last Thursday, it was embargoed, so I could not share it until Sunday. And when we spoke to the woman, she said, "We were all cheering for you." She said, because we were one of the few districts that really said, this is what we want for infrastructure. We tied it directly to assessment and plus using technology in multiple ways in the classroom. So, congratulations.
Very good. DMV.
Oh, and I know too, and as I put in my email, it really was a collaborative effort. Richard Luna helped us write it. As far as the technical end, where the curriculum instruction, assessment, technology, Patty Fazioli helped us with what we expected to see, how technology would be used in the classroom. Lisa Schimmels, who is the Secretary for Technology, did the grant online. Donna Labby put the whole piece together, and Deb Plutra was our proofreader. So, when you put these things in, you have to make sure, what you're saying is doable. You have to have a tight budget, and you have to have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. So, we're happy.
Excellent. DMV report.
That would be Danielle.
This is what we receive from the Department of Motor Vehicles. Every year, all school buses have to be evaluated by Department of Motor Vehicles. As this happens every year, All-Star Transportation got zeros across the board, meaning that no buses had to be taken off the road because our buses are maintained so perfectly. And I gave you the entire list just for a comparison, so you can see the average of other towns and other school districts that the buses aren't maintained as well, and they take buses off the road when that happens.
The secondary bus company that we use, do they report as well? I don't see one.
That is student transportation.
Oh, it's them.
Yes.
Thank you.
There had been a request from the board that our websites needed some improvement, specifically in a couple of schools. And so what we did, we offered professional development on our last, during the voting, our last day when we were offering professional development for faculty and staff on November 6th, 5th. And so we offered a refresher course for all secretaries, and the results that 15 attended, 2 from middle school school, 4 from the high school, 2 from East, 1 Southwest, 1 Vogel, 1 from Forbes, and 4 from Midgeon. And it ran from 8 to 12 p.m. They worked with Barbara Zakeski and Deborah Palutra for the training. And so now you'll see that our websites are up to date, better looking hopefully, and at least the information on there is accurate and available.
Next. Okay, 4-year adjusted cohort graduation.
We received this from the state 2 weeks ago, and it demonstrates, and they developed a new way of how to do that, how to give out this information. It's not calculated, otherwise I would have had, from 2002, if you go on the state website, you can see the information calculated, but it's not calculated in the same way anymore. And with this, the way this was done, it's a cohort graduation rate. So it's from when the children are students who enter in 9th grade and graduate together in 12th grade. This was still based upon making full requirements of 22 credits and also completing the CAP testing. Let's see, it's a component of Connecticut's new accountability system, and the whole transition from going from No Child Left Behind to the new format for performance the performance index. What they do is they track individuals from the initial entrance into grade 9 through graduation with a regular high school diploma in 4 years or less. And it uses individual student level data from the state's public school information system, which is submitted by school districts and certified by me for Torrington. So if you take a look at this, it shows all students. It shows our Hispanic population, non-Hispanic population, Asian, Black, white, male, female, ELL, eligible for free and reduced meals, not eligible for free and reduced meals, special education, and non-special education. So in the last column, it shows what percent of the graduation class of 2013 be it in the whole group or subgroup the performance. How many?
Any cause for concern in disaggregated information? There's, for instance, a 10% difference in the graduation rate between males and females. Or is that normal throughout the state?
Yes, we're hurting our males. We have to figure out a way to engage them better, longer, keep them interested. That's a crisis nationally.
Some of these individual lines probably have fairly small populations, but that's one that's pretty much 50-50, I would guess.
You know what? I'm not. I can find out for you, John.
That's okay. It was just a question.
I mean, you see it reflected in the number of females who are applying to college versus males today.
Graduating, for that matter, over the last few
Correct.
years.
Correct.
I asked for.
But,
Do you say that first? No.
well, he kind of just blurted.
Yeah,
it out.
I didn't know yet.
This 86.9% graduation rate, that's 7% higher than the previous year, right, approximately.
Yes.
And in the years prior, we were seeing a 1%, 1%, 1% approximately. What do you attribute this huge increase, I mean, a really, really dramatic increase in this 1 year?
There's a couple of factors. One, I think the freshman academy, where the whole organization of the 9th grade year is different, that they're supported with tutoring and a tutoring center summer school program for children who may have, it's online, that they may have not passed a course, and then they can come and make it up during we ran summer school for 6 weeks last summer. And probably the service for anybody who is expelled or in crisis and who is working both online and with tutoring down at Legion Avenue.
The freshman academy, when was that instituted?
2 years ago.
Right, so those people as freshmen wouldn't be necessarily factoring into
Not
this?
yet.
Right, okay, so we discount that, so now we're looking at online.
But it's keeping students in school, which is critical.
Right, but that has nothing to do with
Right,
graduation
not yet.
rate. That data has absolutely nothing to do with this, my original question, which is why a 7% boost? That's a pretty sizable boost. Are you confident, I mean, you know through the school improvement committee that, there was a very long, continuing to be a discussion about allegations that administrators were, at least one, bullying teachers into changing at the high school final scores this particular year, 2013. And that may have, and those numbers may have been changed in some instances, and that may have attributed to a higher reporting of higher graduation rates.
Until a teacher could come to me and give me his or her grades, and then I could go on and check what a student's final grades are. I have no idea, one, who the teacher is, what course it was. I will be more than happy if a teacher wants to come forward to me privately, email me.
No, but we've talked about this at the
I
meeting.
know that, but I don't have the name of the teacher, I don't have the name of the course, and there's no way of going in and saying, oh, this was changed. I spoke with the administrators, and they said, no, they wouldn't even think of doing something like that.
I mean,
I know.
you certainly don't give
Well,
any. Well, my question to you, Superintendent, is your administration initiated an investigation with me, which cost the district thousands and thousands of dollars for raising my voice and waving my hand in dismissive fashion toward administrators. And we spent thousands and thousands of dollars on an independent investigator to look at that. Now, I have brought forward what I consider to be very credible information from very credible staff members at the high school, that there were at least one administrator, the word that was used to me in speaking, there was a document that was produced later, but in speaking was bullying.
Do you have the document? Because
nothing that I'm going to produce, that's for sure. That's for sure.
It's hard to start an investigation when you don't know where to start. I mean, we just need to know an area to look.
give me a
Because
course.
if you look
Or
at Power
a-
School, there's a grade, and that's what the kid got, or the student got on the transcript. There'd be no way for us to know that that's not the grade they earned without knowing what grade they earned. We kind of have to have something to look at, I would think.
Through Power School, isn't there some way that somebody with experience could look at grades that were changed after the fact?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be fairly simple to do?
No, history's
No.
gone.
I don't know the makeup of Power School.
Well, it just seems, given the, this is why, I mean, it's data like this that there was two things. The personal sense of just complete dismay that this may have occurred and that might occur in our school system, number one, just on a professional, ethical basis. But number two, it's getting data like this, just, to me, unless somehow we were able to dig into that and find out if that kind of thing really was going on, how good is this data? I mean, what do we really trust here? What do we really trust? And as we move forward with Common Core and more and more and more data-driven reporting of performance, it seems like that it would behoove the administration to get behind an investigation of this and root out whether or not this is true or not true. Because if it's true, it's very damning. If it's not true, then you've got individuals who are spreading damning rumors about the process. In either case, this kind of data gets compromised. What
I have
what
to
is-
start
what is supposed to
somewhere,
do?
Paul. I have to start somewhere.
Well, maybe you can start by hiring an investigator.
Before that, I need information to do it.
Who should the investigator talk to?
Well, there's 4 administrators at the high school, and one of them was being alleged to have done something. There was reporting of information into Power, or grades were changed, so there's a process for literally putting grades into that system, and theoretically, there's gotta be some way of changing them somehow. And,
It's a teacher's account. Teachers put in their own grades. So that means an administrator would have to override it.
Which they don't have to do.
Right.
are you sure of that?
I'm 100% positive. Only a teacher can change a grade.
No, then it may have been a teacher that was bullied, the word bullying was used.
Then we need.
Then let's assume this, okay, I'm just gonna, I mean, this is a huge boost all of a sudden, and I just wanna get into it a little more. And to me, it's important for what the board is doing, what we're doing going forward. If this number's true, if all that was just, you know, some teacher for some reason came forward and made these allegations, and, you know, they just, for whatever reasons, they might possibly wanna step into that. If we're doing this much better with the system we got in place, do you not then, why should we change what we're doing at all? If we're showing 7%, in 1 year, a 7% increase in our graduation rate, why change things if it's working?
It's probably attributed mostly to our online learning program. We initiated an online learning program to help students who were at risk for failing more than once. And so, and that also allowed us for students to make up work during the summer. We haven't had a summer school program in years because we could not afford it. So when you look at how many, and I don't have it here tonight, but I believe I received a report last week from Mrs. Beebe of the whole outcome of comparing the 2 years of how many courses, how many passed, grades, and, you know, I can bring that whole report in here.
Well, are you confident that online learning is as rigorous as regular courses? Because that's something else I'm hearing from a lot of teachers, quite frankly. That it's simply not as rigorous, so we are dumbing down
But
the
the
graduation.
no, I disagree with that totally, because we asked our coordinating teachers to take a look at the curriculum of online learning.
Yeah.
Some very respected teachers in this building.
Yeah.
And they went through it. They said yes. They even took some pieces to add and supplement to their own curriculum. We had the Odyssey Wear van here for 2 days so that teachers could go outside, go in, study it, look at it all the way through to see, is this as rigorous as our curriculum?
Yeah, but these are the vendors, right? You asked the vendors to.
No, not the vendors. It was people who had helped write their curriculum. But it was set up so that teachers could go in anytime during the day. It was parked out front, not last year, not this year. So that if they had any questions and how was this done and where did you come up with this, to get and really pick through it. And they said yes, they did. They said it was as rigorous as what they were doing in their classroom. Mrs. Simpson was one of, Miss Simpson was one of them, Holly Simpson, who has been an AP science teacher here for years.
Well, I guess I'll have to continue. I mean, once again, this just goes toward a process whereby teachers could come forward with information they're giving me and other board members. Clearly, they're just not comfortable coming
Well,
forward to
maybe-
you. So,
You know what, maybe Paul, if you would like to set up a time with those teachers, with me, it doesn't have to be in my office, I'd be more than happy to.
no, a
make
process
that.
is needed. It's gotta be beyond any single board. A process has gotta be in place, particularly since I'm on short time here on the board. The reality is no, nobody's gonna, because where am I gonna be, you know? No,
But is there
process,
somebody
a
else
formal
that
board
would come with them?
No, not unless there's a formal board process, no. There's gotta be a form, which we talked about at the school improvement
Right,
committee
but
meeting.
we haven't had a formal board process, because if they're concerned, they've gone to board members, they haven't even, you know, spoken to me about it.
Well, we're gonna continue formulating that process. That's
Well, I'm
part of it.
hoping in the next school improvement committee meeting next month that we actually approve it, yeah. Yeah.
So there'll be a process,
Yes,
and
that
then
is
we'll
correct.
have a way to resolve it. It's just, I know the investigation would be worthwhile as long as we know where to start. I mean, it's just,
Fair enough.
you know,
Fair
there's
enough.
300 students, and which one do you pick, which classroom? I mean,
Fair enough.
if we had a direction, then yeah, more than willing to look into it.
Fair enough.
Thank you. Mr. Nurse.
Several questions. First question is, you said one of the reasons why the graduation rate became better, and you said summer school. And then I thought you just said to Paul, we haven't had summer school in several years.
No, we've had it for the past 2 years. We reinstated it when we started the online learning program.
Okay, I just thought you had said there was.
There was not
In the past.
in the past. We
Okay.
had it, but it was all teachers, specific courses, limited.
Okay.
For the past 2 years, because of the online learning program, students can come and take any course that they need to make up. So it wasn't based on just what we could offer
Okay, so we do have summer school.
for the past 2 years.
Okay, I didn't understand what you're saying. Second thing was, I had asked you at the last meeting to give us the data of the state, to show what the state data was for all of the schools, all of their cumulative.
Right, and when I
results.
went on the website, and we received this, it was not posted to the state website for all schools. So maybe from the time I received this till now, I will get it for you.
Okay, maybe we can see that in the next meeting. Now to just go into what maybe Paul's talking about or what he's not talking about, I don't know. But I've talked to teachers who, when I've asked them about attendance and grades, and I said, well, and I said, well, can't you see what the grade or the attendance was on a student's transcript? And they say, no, they can't see what grade. They can write out their grade, but they'll never know what the transcript grade or what was posted as far as attendance on that student's record is. Official transcript. Is that correct?
No, they can check a student's transcript.
So you're saying
But
that,
attendance, if a student has X number of absences, it already impacts their grade. They could be getting, say if they pass quizzes and tests and have a B+, but if they have so many, that's board policy.
so you're saying that a teacher at any time from day one to, he wants to go back and see the transcript of Johnny who graduated in the year 2012?
No, you
He can
can't
go back and see the transcript of Johnny who graduated in 2013 today?
Once the year's over,
When does he get to see the final transcript?
they would see it for their grade and the courses that they gave the
That
student.
isn't what I'm asking. I'm asking the
You mean
kid,
they want the full transcript of 4 years of a student?
he wants to see what Johnny's final grade and attendance was in his class. He issues his grade, he shows his attendance for Johnny at the end of the year. He would like to see Johnny's transcript whenever that's officially produced, to see that his grade and his attendance records were the same that's on his transcript. When can the teacher actually see that?
When he submits that,
Well, the question is,
No,
can the
not when
teacher-
he submits it.
Hang on a
Once he
second.
submits
Andrew,
it.
hang on a second. What Andrew wants to know is, can the teacher view the transcript? You know,
Not
the
the full-
teachers,
not the full
the
transcript.
teachers submit their grades,
just for them. Yeah.
okay? The question is once they submit their grades, can they see the transcript to make sure that the grade on the transcript is the grade they submit?
And the attendance.
No,
And the attendance.
no.
So that's exactly going to what Paul, well, maybe, I'm sorry to keep bringing you in. It's why teachers have said to me, they go to graduation and they're among themselves and they go, Johnny graduated? And they all know that Johnny missed 80 days and he was failing all their courses. And they're just amazed to see Johnny getting his diploma that day. And I say, well, why don't you go and look at the transcript and see what what the teachers' grades were, and check that their grades and their attendance records actually, I'm not implying that anything is wrong. I just want, I think it would, maybe there's law that says they can't look at it, and that's one situation. If it's state law that teachers can't officially see what one of their students' official transcript is, that's one thing. But if it's a school policy or it's an administrative policy that our teachers can't see what their grades and what their attendance is officially put on the transcript, I find that to be disturbing.
It's overall, that individual course attendance is not on a transcript. It's the grade and it's the class and the course and the grade.
Okay. So then let's say, so we won't know that if the teacher showed that Johnny missed 25 classes, it's not going to show on his transcript that he
But
had.
if he missed 25 classes, he'll have 60? What's your policy, 60? I'm trying to think right now. Your policy states if a student has so many absences.
Okay,
clear this
forget
up.
the attendance. Let's just go back to the grades.
To clear this up, though, I think what would be more beneficial, what if we got someone who is a power school guru to answer, because
Okay,
I'm not sure that we have all that information, you know what I mean?
We have a power school person right here. We
So-
can ask Ms. Palutro.
May I answer?
Sure.
Okay. The reason why every staff member, okay, certified staff member, has certain rights to the software, which means that only your teachers at Torrington High School can access Torrington High School students. Only your teachers at E-School can access that particular school, okay? Those are teachers' rights. Administrative rights can access any student in the entire district. The reason why teachers cannot access a transcript, those are exclusive rights for administrators and our guidance personnel. And to answer your question, why is that? It's because only certain people have rights to transcripts, because transcripts are the original sealed documents in which colleges use as the legal seal of a student's grades. So if teachers could have access to seeing those final transcripts, then the colleges may not accept them as official transcripts, because if they can see them, they can also change those grades on the transcripts. So how it works is the teachers input the student's grade for their class into almost like a grade book, but instead of an actual paper grade book, the grade book is in PowerSchool. That's how they put the student's grade in. And then PowerSchool, being the software that it is, it imports the data from the teacher's grade book into and onto the transcripts. And before the final transcript is sealed off, the guidance counselors, part of their duty is to check to make sure that that student got the grade and the credit that they deserve for that class. So in answer to your question, you are accurate. The teachers cannot see the transcript, but what the teachers can see is the final tallied grade for the year, because transcripts are only generated twice a year. So it really wouldn't do the teacher much good, because transcripts are only generated by our software in January after the midterm exams, and then the transcripts are generated only after final exams. So when we have the last day of school with the last final exams, those transcripts are done immediately so that they can see who has met the graduation requirement and who has not. And parents are given letters prior to that their child may not be graduating based on their final exams. Did that help?
We could get that.
It just validates what I was saying as far as, and again, I'm not saying that I know that any students' transcripts have been changed or not changed. But if you wanted to have transparency so that teachers cannot imply or come to any inference, I think grades have been changed. If they would have, if each teacher would actually have the ability to access a student's transcript, that he has a grade on that transcript, and he sees that that grade is the same grade for that kid, then there won't be this overhang, this basically bad feeling that there is something some type of misappropriation of grades is taking place, because the teacher would actually see that kid has the grade that I gave him, and it would be easily clarified. And I'm not positive when you say that colleges may not accept the transcript.
If the rights were given to everyone in the building. But there's the only way that there would be a change on the transcript from the grade that the teacher gave them is if there was a glitch in our software. Because like I said, it pulls their grades directly from the teacher's grade book, the final grade, and puts it right into the transcript. Now, the only way a grade can be changed that would be different on a transcript would be if someone changed the grade of that particular student. So other than the teacher for looking at the grades, you have other people that have rights to the students' grades. You have guidance counselors have the software rights to the students' grades. You
and
have,
that is the implication.
You have some secretaries.
The implication is there's other people who have rights, as you said.
Correct.
And teachers are concerned that their grades are somehow being manipulated, and I'm not implying that I have any facts to it, but if that's the implication, and now that you explain this, it justifies, there is a reason for the board to somehow.
Well, let's bring the guidance director in. Let's find out the legality of the transcript. And let's get the actual process of whether guidance does a comparison of, let's ask guidance. Do you take the teacher's grade and the transcript, and do they actually compare it before the transcript goes out? Let's get, their input. And if they don't, then we can check with legal, and there could be a view-only or a read-only document that I'm sure can be produced that a teacher can look at. That's a read-only.
Right.
You can't edit, it's a non-editable document that maybe they can have access to. But I think we have to know whether they can or can't.
And one
We'll
other
ask
thing,
that question.
it'd be great if you can bring the TEA representative into this discussion, and somehow through the TEA representative talking to staff that they would become part of this process, so that they would also understand better what their rights are and how this works. Like I say, I'm hearing similar things over the years from teachers, similar to what Paul is saying.
Right, but we'll get the official procedure of what happens. We'll find out what the rights are, and then we'll go, we can just see, if there's the ability to get a read document or something like that.
And
Vincent was next.
We've heard two different things.
Vincent was next.
Oh, Vincent, I'm
He was up
sorry.
while Paul was going
I
on.
would not dream.
I'm sorry.
If I can ask you both directly, you both have heard from faculty that this has been going on?
Yes.
implication that they can't.
Yeah. I mean, these are serious implications, I would think. I mean, these are serious allegations. And there's got to be legal consequences for there to be a systemic budging of administration and teachers. And I think that because of that, there are statewide whistleblower laws, there's labor laws, there's unions to protect these individuals. I think these individuals need to come forward. I think it's pretty shallow for them to spread rumors like this without coming. I mean, this is serious. This is nothing to just laugh at or say, oh, you know, they're afraid. I can understand them being afraid, but this is so much bigger than that if this is actually going on. And other than the hearsay of some mystery individuals, I think this is fantastic news, to be perfectly honest. We've gone up 7 points. This is great. This is something to be proud of. And if this really is going on, I think those teachers, whoever they are, individuals, community members, have a responsibility to their job, to their school, to the students to come forward with it. And I had another point I'd like to say as well. Mr. Cavanero stated that the administration cost the district thousands of dollars to perform the investigation. I would just like to point out for the record that would have been the individual that did that, and the board decided upon the investigation under the advice of our attorney. It wasn't the administration to do that. I'd just like to make that point very clear.
We heard two different things, and this can be answered by a 45-second yes or no. Mrs. Capabianca and the superintendent said that nobody can change those grades once the teacher has assigned them. And Mrs. Palutro said that if you can see the grade, you can change the grade. All I want to know is which is right.
That's why I want to get a specialist.
Correct.
No, it's not two separate things.
One is transcript.
Right. We're talking about the grade the kid finally gets, the transcript.
Right. The transcript cannot be changed by anyone.
Okay, so when you said if you can see it, you can change it, that wasn't accurate.
The report card, the actual teacher's grade book grade that gets imported to the transcript.
You were talking about the transcript.
Nobody physically puts the grades on the transcript, the software does it. And I just want to make one additional point, because I know that this board is going in the direction of possible human beings doing this. Knowing Power School the way I do know and how it works as software, there has been a glitch once with the software. May I, Superintendent? I discovered a glitch the beginning of, not this year, 13, but I discovered a glitch in 2012 when I had to run a transcript for a student so the student could see presently where his credits were. They're allowed to see it on paper. And when I manually counted the credits over and over again, then brought it to the superintendent and she counted the credits, the cumulative amount of credits in the lower left-hand corner were off by 0.50. Okay? I did this with Mr. Traub also. I had shown him, and there was an investigation on this, and that was corrected. So there was on several transcripts, when the software totaled it, just like Excel, you put the formula in and it totals it. Power School automatically totals credits. Nobody does that. Consequently, nobody really, you have this software so that you're not manually counting credits like they did years ago. And several students' transcripts were off by a 0.25, some a 0.50, and some a 0.75. That we investigated with both the superintendent's permission and Mr. Traub, and it was found that there was a glitch in the software. The software is made by a company called Pearson. Pearson looked into the glitch, they found the glitch, and they found out why was it off by this 0.50. So all I'm saying is before maybe that we do point fingers, as you were saying, or whatever, how the rumors got started, is check with Power School and see if it's possible the credits were miscounted by the software. It's possible when they're importing the data from the report cards, and that data gets imported, who knows? It is a possibility. So the Power
I think
School
the best solution
person.
is to get the guidance people here
Yeah.
to explain to us how the transcript is constructed, how it's imported, who checks it, what level of checking there is. Do they look at one grade? Do they look at a grade book versus a does anybody do that physical verification? And then once we have that information, we can move with it. I mean, right now, we're kind of we get the people that actually do it and ask them how it's done, what the procedure is, and then we can, open that up. Would you agree? John, would you agree?
If it really happened, sure.
Well, I'm just saying, it wouldn't hurt us to understand how the Power School system does it. I mean, if nothing else, we learn something. I mean, we're not accusing anybody, we're just gonna get the basis of how it's done, and then we can look into it from there. If there is a way, if we do find out that someone does have that authority to change a grade, then we need to find out, well, can you see if it was changed? It just narrows it down for us.
And I don't think it should be just limited to the high school. I mean, the process, we should want to know that middle school and elementary school, how that process works.
That's what I want to understand, Power School.
Yeah,
How
I
Power
just didn't
School
want
brings it
people
in.
to think it's just on
Right,
high school.
right. Well, the guidance does both middle and high. But I mean, once we understand how Power School actually creates the report card / transcript.
Would you ask it to be specific to our question? Because we don't really need to know the history of Power School.
I understand.
How many screens it takes to go from here to there.
What we'd like to know is the process
Yes.
that once a teacher
Can grades be manipulated?
enters a
That
grade.
is what we want.
Thank you.
Can grades be manipulated?
Can someone other than the teacher input a grade
Yes.
or change a grade?